the point here is that means properties in a class component. That means you can also call as uncontrolled class component. You can also call as uncontrolled class component. Sorry, controlled. Properties means it is not uncontrolled. It is what? Control. Controlled class component. So here the point is every class internally have properties. Every class have internally properties defined. You no need to define. It have implicitly properties defined. For function components, you have to declare. But in class, it is internally defined. That is the reason many times people call function component as uncontrolled and class components as controlled. But actually in function component also controlled and uncontrolled are there. We cannot say like that. Why they call class components as controlled components? Because every class internally have properties. Even you are not using properties, by default class have a property. That means every class component is a controlled component. Controlled component is a controlled component. The properties are defined implicitly for class component. And props are object type. So you can define the properties by using this dot props dot key. Directly it is available. You don't need to declare any properties. Actually, we have to declare properties and use them. But in class components, properties are internally available. You have to just use them. So here, how you define them, how you configure them is, for example, in the registration form, I want like a nav bar, right? Actually, we have a custom components. If you remembered, we already created flex, grid, nav bar, like that. Suppose I am creating a new component file. In custom components, I am creating a new one. And this we give responsive nav dot what JSX. Roughly, I'm just giving that. And this time it is export class responsive, responsive now. So extends react dot component. Okay. So it have a constructor, and we are using the super constructor, and we are having a render method. This render method have to return a simple now. It should return. Okay. The render method should return method na. Okay. The render method should return. It should return a simple now. In this now, I am just adding. So here we have a title. The title will dynamically come to the responsive nav bar. That means here we have to use this dot props. Props is internally available. Earlier in our function component, we have to pass it as a parameter and use it. But now props are internally available. And key name. Key name is title. And here below that, I am just using a dynamic expression. This dot props dot items dot what map. Read every item. For every item, put a span. Just roughly. Key is an item and value is also an item. And this now I will keep the class. Actually, this I will keep in a separate div. Okay. Okay. I will keep as deflex. Justify content around. Justify content around, like that I am giving. Just roughly. Okay. Border and border 1, padding 2. Okay. I want this nav bar to be used in the register here. The nav bar to use in the register here. So above the register user, here we need to import responsive. Responsive nav bar. Import first. We will import export we given we will import it first. Where to import? So import responsive navbar from custom components. From custom components, we imported that, and we want to use it here. We are using responsive navbar, and it is expecting title. We are passing the title. Title is just like some Amazon. It is expecting items. Items is an array. It have like home, like shop, like that, and about, like this, and contact. Now you can see in the output, it should get that responsive navbar and display. That's what it is going to show there. I'm just creating that, and you can access here some BG dark, text white, margin top 3, and the same thing we will implement here. So already we learned how to create custom components. Only the point is here properties are inbuilt. We have to just use them. You don't need to configure the properties, and using them is same as. So here we don't define the properties like this syntactically. We need to configure the component. So here we defined, suppose class and name navbar something extends react.component constructor and in that super. In this we have render. This render is going to return. In the return, we can directly use this dot props dot title like that. So we can use this dot props dot items just roughly for syntax. And whenever you access the nav bar, we have to just put title. Title and items is an array. That's how we define. So how you can access and use it. So these are the differences between function, component, and class, right? So in the modern React, we don't recommend any class. We always recommend functions. So whatever classes can do, this can do. But one problem is there with function. Functions are not easy for extending. If you are looking for regular extensibility, that regular extensibility can be done by using class. Class is good for extensions. Means if an app is regularly changing, extending, then they prefer using the classes. But anyhow, in the modern React, functions also can be extended with an alternative technique. We can use other techniques. That's the reason we are not worried about using the classes anymore. Even official website also, now they stopped using class examples. That means every example they give on only functions. But you should know because companies will use. Now, another important, you should understand the life cycle hooks. This is also a very important topic for interview because even these topics are not in use. Interviewers will show interest in asking this, especially for experienced people, because experienced people means before functions, they worked on a lot of classes. That's the reason even today, several interviews, they concentrate some questions on classes. And in that, the life cycle hooks are very important. Hooks are different, life cycle hooks are different. So life cycle hooks means how the life cycle of a component runs, in which phase, what activities are performed. That is important to understand. That we will see in next session. Tomorrow we will do that. And tomorrow we will learn one more. Once we know the life cycle, then we will go into material UI. Material UI is nothing but till now what we done, we designed our own components. So material UI is ready-made components. We can use them just like Bootstrap. Like you have carousels, you have nav bars, models in Bootstrap. Same like Bootstrap, we have components in React. That is possible through what? Material UI. That we will see. Lifecycle hooks and material UI. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay.